Hey guys, Eric the Aviator here today. Going on another flight. I haven't been up in a while and I just need to get my currency up and make sure that I'm still good to fly and everything. And so it has been extremely cold up here in North Dakota. Got down to about -60 with wind chill not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. And it's just now coming up. And today, right now, it's actually 35 degrees outside. So it's feeling great out here. But yeah, we're gonna go up for a quick spin, just looking at the wind, and it's looking good. So let's do this.
Uh-oh, we got birds. We have birds. I don't know if you guys can see the huge flock of birds. That is right over the approach end of the runway.
To be honest, I'm still shivering just a little bit. Definitely will have the heat on today. But we're gonna talk about some tips and tricks when you're flying in the wintertime. And we do that quite often around here, so stick around. It's pretty icy out here yet, but that used to be a drift, so I couldn't actually get across that drift. So these blanket covers, antenna seaters, and cowl covers are some of the main things you need when flying up north. These cowl covers, custom made for this 182. Ooh, it's nice and toasty in there. Unplug that. It's frozen. This happens from time to time. When your board freezes to the concrete, you have to have something on hand, like this axe, to unfreeze it. So, a major consideration when you are flying in the wintertime is your tires. Are your tires flat from just sitting in a cold hangar? That is gonna be a huge inspection area that we're gonna be looking at today. But as you can see, they look pretty good. So let's finish our inspection.
All right, look at that. Oil temperature is already in the green because we had that tannis heater on. So that is the first thing I'm gonna say. Tannis heaters are an absolute must for winter flying, especially when you don't have a heated hangar, which is not necessarily recommended, not having one. But heating your hangar can be very expensive, and if you're not doing a ton of winter flying, it's not overly necessary. But it is really nice and really good for your airplane. So just do our checklist here. Yeah, so like I was saying, it's been a while since I've been up. So when you haven't been up in a while, checklists are extremely important. Probably more important than usual, although they're always important, obviously. But yeah, so I'm going to be taking some extra steps, even off camera, to make sure that I am proficient and ready for this flight. You notice I don't have any passengers with me. That's because I haven't been up in over a month. So this is definitely a proficiency flight, and it would not be a smart idea to have passengers with me on this flight. Flight controls are free and correct. The air is super thick. I can already feel it here on the ground, which is, it'll boost our performance, so that'll be good. All right. Doors and windows closed and latched. Primers in and locked. RPMs. So what you guys may not know is that your magnetos can get cold. And so what can happen during your magneto check is it can be running really rough until those things warm up. I guess they kind of rely on friction, and when they're too cold, they just mess up. So don't quote me on that. I don't know exactly how it works. I should find that out. But all I know is that when I do my magnetos checks, there have been many times where I almost aborted the flight thinking I had bad magnetos. It ran smoothly when on both, but on one or the other, it just was not very smooth at all. But then I realized as I let it warm up, they began to run perfectly fine. Not that either one would go out ever. It was just a little rough. And so, but I realized I got to let them warm up, and they do fine. Still a wee bit cold in here. Of course, there's no blower motor in these old airplanes. And so it relies on air coming through or from outside over the exhaust for the heat. It relies on air coming from outside over the exhaust manifold. That's how it heats up. And then into the cabin. So it gets cold until you are literally in the air. Beale area traffic system 3585 Foxtrot, back taxiing runway 28, Beale traffic. Forgot which runway it was for a second there. I told you I'm rusty. Checking final, checking the runway, looks good. Can never be too careful on these non-towered, well, even for towered airports, I guess. Everything's warming up nicely. It's a beautiful night. A little windy, but nothing to write home about. Taking her nice and easy. Brakes feel nice and tight. All right, run-up's done. You should be good to go. Lord Jesus, I pray that you'd protect me on this flight. Keep me safe, God. In Jesus' name. Beale area traffic system 3585 Foxtrot, taking off runway 28, departing to the north, will likely stay in the pattern. That didn't make any sense. Checking final. Fortunately, I don't think there's anyone out there. Double checking my checklist here. Fuel's on both. Cow flaps open. Good. Flaps are all the way up. Wow. I'm going 50 and it's already wanting to fly. Look at that. Popped right off the ground. That's how you know it's cooler. That density altitude, I was off in maybe 1,000 feet. Maybe. Which is pretty good for this airplane. You Super Cubs are saying 1,000 feet. Ay, ay, ay. For me, that's good. Especially with no flaps. Feels good up here. Been too long. Yeah, winter flying is something else. As one guy put it, you could open the window and get out and walk on the air. That's how thick it is. Don't try that at home. Winter flying is something else. It's cold. Until you get in the air, it's already heating up. I mean, it gets toasty quick in my airplane. Some of the 172s I've heard about people, they were saying that it gets pretty cold in there, but not here. This thing will roast you out quick. But there is some danger to that, and that's one thing that you have to think about when you're winter flying. Is you always got to be thinking about carbon monoxide poisoning. You should always have a carbon monoxide sensor of some kind, especially on your longer cross-country flights. Because, so say you were to get a leak in your air filter, your manifold, or your exhaust, well, now you're pumping exhaust straight into your cabin. So that is one main thing you really have to watch out for when you're winter flying, is you could really easily get that carbon monoxide poisoning from your heater. So we're already shooting up to 3,500 feet. and I'm already pulling back to climbing power. And I mean, it's one bump from takeoff all the way to where we're at now, so that's just insane. Feels great up here. Go ahead and level off. Feeling really nice. Yeah, so winter flying up north, and you Alaska guys know about this, but it's just a lot of shoveling, a lot of making sure your heater's working. Your Tannis heater needs to be working. I remember I parked, it was not even 20 degrees, probably 16 degrees, and I went ahead and parked overnight on a ramp one time. We flew in, we were just going to stay overnight, and my parents were with me. So we get out to the airport, and here the plane won't start because I didn't plug it in. And we just about ran down the battery trying to get it to start. Not recommended, by the way, in case you're wondering. And that's when I realized if I'm going to be winter flying, I've got to have this thing plugged in. And so now I always plug this thing in. If it looks like it's going to dip under 30, I plug this thing in every single time. It's just not worth taking the chance of running your battery down. I even installed, or I had a battery minder installed, so I can plug in a battery minder plus the Tannis heater for when I'm out on the ramp like that. Because, you know, if an airplane dies, it's not quite like jumping a car. It's a lot more hassle because a car doesn't have a big spinning blade on the front of it. So you have to have an extra person or make sure it's not going to get away on you and whatever. So it's a lot more hassle. So you really don't want that battery to die. And not only that, it wears on your battery life, and those batteries are $500+. So having that minder on there is nice. Not that I leave it plugged in all the time, but having that option if you need some extra juice is nice. But yeah, some things to think about if you're winter flying. Make sure you have some nice Tannis heaters. Make sure you have some nice blankets or quilts to put over it, over your cowling. Make sure you have some cowl plugs. That cowling is meant to cool down your engine, but any kind of wind on the ramp is going to cool it down. So you want to plug that up as best as possible. We'll start slowing her down and descending. Fuel area traffic. System 3585 Foxtrot will be turning long final for runway 28. Bueller traffic. Alright, let's look at our landing checklist here. Close those cowl flaps. Still got a nice descent going. Alright, let's bring her in. Right on line with the Pappy, looking good. We'll give ourselves some flaps. I didn't notice any snow or ice on the runway, so that's good. I have landed on snowy and icy runways before, and if you're scared of doing that, I would say don't be. Be careful, but don't be. Because if you think about it, you're flying until you're going really slow. So you still control it just like you would in the air until you're going slow enough to where it doesn't really matter. As long as you have a long enough runway, you don't have to hit the brakes. Don't overuse the brakes, obviously. In fact, try not to use the brakes at all. Pull flaps, pull back when you get on the ground, all that kind of stuff. Just leave the brakes alone. No reason to hit them until you need to, I guess. I landed on one runway. It was drifts after drifts. They were bigger than obviously what they looked in the air. That's how it always is. And we got down and big puffs of snow going everywhere. It was fun. It was fun. It wasn't so big that I was worried by any means. Fuel area traffic system 3585 Foxtrot, short final, runway 28. That was a fun one. Coming in a little fast, but let's get there. We'll get there. That's the thing about winter flying too, is that you slow down quick. I just barely pulled out the power, and we just slowed right down. So no reason to get too slow, because you can slow down quick when you're winter flying. Uh-oh, got birds. We have birds. Birds right near the runway. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Alright, I think we're clear. That could have been bad. Very low birds. They're right there. Oopta. Alright, we'll stay focused on landing. First landing in over a month, so we'll see how this goes. Glide slope is perfect. Speed is perfect. Alright, let's get down there. Woofda. Not my best landing. Not my best landing. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. Well, folks, that's how landings look when you haven't flown in over a month. Extremely safe still. Not worried about the safety aspect of that landing by any means. But I am a little bit worried about the struts if that's how my landings were every time. Ah, that's funny. The great thing is, I know exactly what I did wrong. I was anxious to get to the ground. I felt like I should have been on the ground already. But the Pappy was bringing me in a little higher than I usually go, which is fine. And so I hit pretty hard. Probably on all three wheels. Which, like I said, is not unsafe. Look at all those birds. Ay, ay, ay. Oh man, I'm glad I'm on the ground right now. I am glad I am on the ground. Look at those birds. I don't know if you guys can see the huge flock of birds that is right over the approach end of the runway that I just landed on. Huge flock of birds. A solid stream of them. And that, my friend, is why I always pray before I go up in the skies. Because you never know what's going to be up there. Alright, signing off on this one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.